Well, good morning and welcome to that Kentuckessee Angler Show. Today's video is all about that soft plastic paddle tail swim bait. We're gonna be getting into some basics, covering some tips and tricks, and last but not least, catching some awesome fish out here. Bait wise, we're gonna be working with a variety of different paddle tails throughout today's video. However, I wanted to start out with my favorite and one that works very well in the area we're starting out in, the Zoom Swimmin' Super Fluke Junior. That's a twofer. Here's a look at her right here. Very simple design and absolutely stellar paddle tail as well. We're also going to be working with several different rigs. I wanted to start out with, again, my favorite, the one I like to fish when I can get away with it, and arguably the most simple rig, the jig head. So very, very simple. We got a round bend hook right here, and we got a weighted head. Now these come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. I prefer using cheaper jig heads, especially in the area we're fishing right now, which I'm about to break down for you after we get through this rigging. It can be snaggy. It doesn't hurt the bank too much to lose one of these. Now, very, very easy rig. You're simply gonna take your hook point, stick it in the nose of your bait. You're gonna push it on up, pop that hook right through, and set it right up there on that hook. Keep her about as straight as you possibly can. You're gonna want your paddle, your tail pointing downwards, and your hook pointing upwards. That's our first rig. Let's get this on the water. They're jumping right now. Throughout today's video, we're gonna be alternating between casting gear and spinning gear, though you can get away with throwing this bait on just about anything that picks up line, whether it be your casting, your spinning, even your spin cast gear. Now, line-wise, I'm running fluorocarbon. This is 10 pound. I got 8 pound on my spinning gear. You can get away with throwing this bait on just about any line type out there. I will say fluoro definitely has properties that really, really benefit this bait. Just saw a little bass, I think, jump out there. Trying to see if I can pick it up. Now let's get into a few simple retrieves. Method number one, and by far the simplest, a straight up retrieve. We're just gonna cast our bait in. We're gonna wait till we're comfortable with where it's sitting in the water column, and then we're gonna start reeling, man. Simply retrieving this bait, the way it's designed, the way the majority of these baits are designed, is going to cause that tail to flap through the water. Here's a look at it right there. And boy, that white ice pops, man. I got a feeling we're gonna have a pretty good day out here. Method number two, jigging your bait. This is especially effective in the area we're fishing right now, which is a larger river. It's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. The sun's still on the rise, so I do apologize for the lighting, and it's a bit of an overcasty day anyhow. But basically, you're gonna cast your bait out there. You're gonna guide it down to the bottom or wherever you're comfortable with it in the water column. Then you're simply gonna raise your rod tip up, pick up that line, guide it down, raise your rod tip up. You can do a few in a row, man, kind of letting it go down to the bottom. I do highly recommend experimenting with these retrieves, kind of finding what works for you. You're basically covering water, raising and lowering your bait throughout. And we're just working our way over to this area as we get into our final method of retrieve. So we're covering water while we're doing this introduction. I'm not 100% sure what the bite's gonna be like today, but I'm anticipating that we're probably gonna have to work for them. Last but not least, my preferred method, especially when it comes to working this bait on a jig head, the old twitch and pop. I'm not sure what to call it, but basically running this bait through the water with a series of twitches and pops, trying to get those bass's predator instincts flowing, really just fish in general. We're gonna cast it out there. Oh, wind caught us on that one. Give it a couple pops on the way down. By pop, I'm referring to a quick vertical pop of my rod, really short, really snappy in the wrist. And by twitch, I'm referring to a quick side-to-side twitch. So we're gonna twitch, twitch, twitch. Throw in a couple pops. Continue to twitch, maybe in a different direction, maybe the same direction, doesn't really matter too much to me. But basically, we're trying to imitate a filleting bait fish and really get those fish going. It's gonna look like this coming through the water. Really stellar action right there. Those are just 3 methods of working this bait that I rely on pretty heavily. There are plenty out there and you'll find something right for you. I highly recommend experimenting. Those 3 are a pretty awesome place to start out though, and they have served me well. As long as you're following your local rules and regulations, you're doing something right. Now let's get on the water and break this skunk. We are going to be starting out by jumping around this larger river today. I wanted to do something a little bit different on the channel. I haven't fished this area in a while, so we'll see what we can do. About this time of year, the bass do start running down this river pretty heavily. If we can find some bait, we can find some bass out here. There we go, first fish. There we go. Okay, that did not take long. I just made a quick jump back to where we were filming the initial part of this video. It looks like a little largie. Oh, I gotcha. All right, she almost shook it last minute. Pretty little largie, man, a good sign. Well, here we go, my friends, our first fish of the day. Now, she's not huge, definitely on the smaller side. We're gonna be catching some bigger ones throughout this video. However, it is tradition to show off our first fish, as it's something to be thankful for and a sign that we're on some active water right now. Let's get her back in. Let's try to get some more on. Oh, good, I was recording that one. Oh, absolutely beautiful. Thanks for biting, girl. That fish spit our bait last minute. As you can see, this rigging method is not without its flaws, man. Very small hook. This area is fairly shallow. One of the reasons why it's an absolutely hitting spot, but it does give those smaller fish and bigger fish a little more leverage to shake your hook out here. So the rubber seems dead, man. We've made a huge jump. I'm sure I could pull a fish if I hung out there, but it'd be a whole lot of sitting and waiting. I hit a couple different spots, spent about 20 minutes out there. It was enough for me to know we needed to make a major move to get some fish on. We are now inside the marina I was talking about. It is an absolutely gorgeous area and a very productive one. Right now we're basically chasing clarity. We had a pretty heavy rain last night, so some of this stuff over here, back there, man, is really, really clouded up. We have a clear stream coming out here, which is just pushing some clearer, heavily oxygenated water into the area. So right now, basically we're chasing clarity. I feel like this is our best bet at catching our next fish. Let's throw a couple casts out here. So when it comes to this area, right around this rock, this riprap's usually pretty good, as well as this kind of flow point right over here. We're gonna hit both of those. This is kind of a no-no area, so we'll see how much fishing we can get done. Oh my gosh, did you see all that bait? That's what we're looking for, man. It is pooling in this area, so this whole line of riprap might be hot, might be worth putting some time into. I used to spend a lot of time fishing here. Unfortunately, it gets a ton of pressure because it's a great spot and it's very easily accessible. Certainly not a secret. With great spots, heavily pressured spots, come a lot of good people, a lot of scummy people, and a lot of people that like to leave their garbage everywhere. So yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. It's really why I don't spend as much time here anymore. And I've tried to pick it up before. There's only so much you can do, man. It's like every day there's trash here. Oh, there we go, fish on. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, she's shrinking a lot. Well, fish is fish, man. Okay, that is a massive yellow bass. That's something different. By massive, these fish do not get very big in my area. This is definitely on the larger size for a yellow. Typically they are nearly half the size, so this is on the larger end. It's one of the last species I expected to catch right now, but a very interesting one, man, a notable one. These paddle tails are amazing multi-species baits, by the way. If you can't tell, I'm sure we'll catch a variety throughout this video. However, just wanted to show this fish off, found it pretty interesting. Let's get her back in. These yellow bass are related to your stripers, your white bass, your hybrids, same family. Well, that was a fun one, man. We're gonna kind of jig around this area. They respond very, very well to bottom bouncing, kind of bottom jigging your bait. Generally, I like to throw a smaller paddle tail for them, but I mean, if they're that size, they'll certainly eat this one. Inline spinners, paddle tails, marabou jigs, all great artificial baits for that fish. They'll absolutely destroy night crawlers as well, and like a little 1/16 ounce jig head or hook, whatever, however you choose to rig it, man. I kind of feel like that was probably a one-off thing, but you never know. Well, it is day 2, my friends, and I'm coming at you from underneath a bridge. We are getting poured on right now. We had a small chance of rain that has dramatically increased since I got out here, but it's looking like it's gonna pass and turn into a light sort of drizzle within the hour. So we're kind of waiting it out right now. Right under here, this area can be pretty productive when it is raining. I didn't want to go too far away from home due to the weather conditions, due to the chance of it. And sure enough, we're absolutely getting hammered right now. So we'll get out on the water just as soon as this lightens up a bit, for the sake of these cameras, really. The one I'm holding right now doesn't have a battery cover on it. That's an issue. These doors fly off and you tend to lose them, so I don't want the internal bits of the camera getting absolutely destroyed. we'll possibly get out there with just the POV one and see what we can do. That one is well protected, well covered right now. Bait wise today, we're running Super Fluke Juniors. I do have some other smaller paddle tails we might rely on a bit later. However, I think this pearl's really gonna work with this stained up, freshly rained out area. We got one, it's just a standard Texas rig. It's inexpensive, it's easy, not a big deal if I snag it. And of course, we're running one on a jig head, my preferred method. But once I start really losing these bad boys, we're gonna switch to that Texas rig weedless style. Not that we have any weeds out here, but we certainly have some rocks that these jig heads get lodged in very easily. It does look like this rain has almost completely dissipated right now, and that was within about 15 minutes of filming that intro. So we're gonna head down here. We do have some wind on the water. We're looking at a high of 10 miles per hour. It's much higher than that right now, but since that storm's currently blowing over us, you can see those darker clouds, we might be in the clear. This area is really good. It really sucks come this time of year. I mean, you can see all this garbage people leave here. It's why they don't generally like people fishing it. But right here, this stuff looks pretty good. Let's see what we can do. Kind of hop over these rocks. We do have a couple things working for us in our favor right now. First off, I hate fishing in the wind. I almost prefer fishing in the rain over the wind. We do have this wind coming towards us. It's pushing all that little micro forage these bait fish like to feed on right up into this area. It's also keeping this runoff we have right here from completely diluting and mudding up this water over here. So not necessarily a bad thing at the moment. Thinking about trying our luck here and then hopping out on the main river and seeing what we can do. Yeah, about 5 minutes casting in this area. I can tell it's not gonna be what we're looking for. We're actually gonna carefully hop over this, throw some cast this way, then we're gonna get on the road and go hit the big river. Not that this area can't be absolutely phenomenal in the rain. In fact, I've had some really great days out here. I just don't feel like staying put right now. Good fish, there we go, that's what I'm talking about. Good fighter too. I'm kind of guessing it's gonna be a spotted bass. The rain really brings them out. It's fighting well. Fighting very, oh my goodness, catfish. Okay, that's different. Flathead. Haven't caught many of those this year. Definitely something different. Well, there we go, my friends. Terrible lighting, really hard to give this fish justice, but a really pretty little flathead right there. She has some gorgeous eyes too, gorgeous big brown eyes, man. Well, little brown eyes, really. Anyhow, let's get her back in. Not uncommon to catch these on bass baits. I catch a handful a year. This one's on the smaller side, but pretty fish. Let's get her back in, something different. But a sign something's biting today. I almost didn't come due to the rain, due to the forecast. Well, obviously we're making a paddle tail fishing video this week, so that's what we're throwing. If I had a second choice or another bait tied on right now, 100% spinner bait. These like early fall rains, man, can absolutely hammer them out with the spinner bait. It's one of my favorite baits to throw in the rain. That or an inline spinner. Really produce out here. And we're gonna get into that as the season progresses. We'll throw some baits like that. I don't really mess with them too much in the summertime, but come fall, come spring, hard to beat that flash. All right. So we are on our way to our second spot of the day, which is right out here. You can see we got the river running right here. This is where it runs into the marina. And I haven't fished this area all that much, so we'll see how it produces for me today. It's different conditions. River does tend to be a little more productive this time of year, a little easier to pull fish out of. So who knows, maybe we'll have some luck. Maybe we'll find some shad balled up in this area. I got tons of these little burrs all over me right now. I gotta pick off, they're all stuck on my shorts and stuff. So we're definitely about to get super muddy out here. We're just sinking in. It is what it is. This can be a pretty awesome spot. From a few times I've fished it, I have pulled some okay fish out of it. I'm hoping today's a different story. The bass are very active on the river, as I mentioned. I was out the other day, didn't really make a video out of it, but I caught a couple of really nice ones. So I wouldn't be shocked if we're able to pull them out right here. if for whatever reason this spot's kind of struggling, we'll make a jump and get out, start fishing some rocks and pull them that way. We might do that regardless, just to kind of jump around the area a bit. But this area is pretty sweet, man. The water is very, very low right now, but I got a feeling that rain's really going to turn these fish on. This time of year you can start finding a lot of shad up in this area, up on this part of the river, really balled up, and bass chasing them. They'll be shooting out of the water. It's absolutely awesome. You can almost sight fish the bass that way. There we go, fish on. Good one, good one. Oh, I'm all up in the mud. All right, she's shrinking. She's definitely shrinking. Oh yeah, a little bass. Okay, that's something, man. Super pretty spot. My goodness. Well, it's certainly turning out to be a pretty stellar day, my friends. Just look at this spot. She's absolutely stunning. We'll get her back in. She's well fed, she's chubby. Her pattern is super defined, which isn't always super common here. Sometimes it can be a bit harder to differentiate. If you've been fishing the area for a while, you know how to tell them apart. However, this one, man, there is no mistaking this for a largie. Just look at her. Beautiful. Thanks for biting, girl. Super pretty spot. We can kind of downgrade our jack. It looks like that rain's moving out of the area. It's still pretty dark out, but that was uplifting. We're just going to take a few more steps this way and hopefully pull some more. There we go, fish on. Oh, she's spinning. Come on, man. So it can be really, really hard to land them over here due to how shallow this water is, man. Gives them a little bit of leverage once I get up on there, but obviously they're in this area, man. I was 2, maybe 5 minutes apart. That first one we landed, and that one right there. And these spots are super aggressive. They're very, very active. Oh, that's another one. We found him. Try to keep her low. We found him, my friends. Oh, she spit it too. I'm gonna have to move up there. That's like back-to-back 2 missed fish, which kind of sucks, man, but it is what it is. It's due to the kind of area we're fishing right now. It's a hard area to fish due to how shallow it gets. It's like a dramatic drop-off, which is a good thing. It's a great thing for these fish. But as soon as we get up on that really shallow stuff, they're able to spit this jig fairly easily. There we go. Fish on. We'll see if we can actually land this one. All right, shoot. Got that jump out of the way. Come on. Come on. They're a little closer now. They're all about the same size. Super pretty, man. If there are 4 out there this size, there's probably more. I think we might be on the eve of a slam fest. We'll see what we can do. We'll keep it up. Really pretty fish, man. Thank you for biting. So this isn't a super common thing for this area. Really, this year I've had to work for these fish. They've been pretty scattered, so to find them consolidated like this, definitely want to stick it out, want to feel this bite out, really capitalize on it. It's just a ton of fun for me. They're absolutely hammering it, and chances are if there's this many smaller, like 1-pounders, there's probably a tank in here. Oh, right on, man. Instant bite. She's not huge, but she took that bait in a hurry. She's a little chunky. I think we got a good hook. Come on in. Largemouth, that's something different. 3rd species of the day, 2nd species of bass. Super pretty one, super aggressive one. I felt her grab it on that fall. That was awesome, man. Beautiful. Well, it is day number 3 out here, and we are back out on the river. Generally, when I make these videos, I like to show a handful of different locations. That just wasn't the case this week. Life had other plans for me. Both the days I filmed were cut short, unfortunately. That's why they kind of had an abrupt ending. However, we are back out here on the river. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and there is a lot of bait activity out here.
Looks like we got some boats on the water too, enjoying this beautiful day. I don't blame them.
Well, I did mention I was going to introduce y'all to a couple different rigs if you are unfamiliar with paddle tails in general, and that's why you clicked on this video. I know everyone can't fish a jig head though. That's probably what we're going to be leaning heavily on today because it just works in this area. Here are some weedless options for you. One, of course, you can just go straight up weightless on an extra wide gap hook. That's probably your best bet, but if you want to throw a little bit of weight, you can always pick up one of these. This is a weighted extra wide gap hook. So here's a look at it outside of its packaging. You can see it's your extra wide gap hook. However, you got a nice weight fixed right up on here. This is a 1/8 ounce. This is a Gamakatsu. I'm gonna have to get you the exact name for it. I'll list it in the description or talk about it at the end of the video. I lost a little insert to the packaging, as you can see. However, these are a really great option if you don't want to go completely weightless. I typically don't like to. I like that extra casting distance, and this will go a long way for you. Now, I like to run these with a ringed paddle tail or a ribbed paddle tail. These are very common. Almost every brand has their own version of it. This is the H2OX version right here, Academy's brand. And when it comes to rigging, well, you can push this entire weight through that paddle tail. It's a lot. It's going to give this thing a good stretch and take away some of that durability, some of those extra uses. You might encounter some slippage. I don't really know. I don't do it that way. The way I find works best is to simply take your hook and poke right here, right under the nose. We're just going to pop that through, as you can see, making a little entrance for the eye of that hook. Then I'm simply going to take that eye, find that little hole, stick it in right here. We're going to line up where that bait's going to be sitting right about here. Take a mental note, and we're going to push up that plastic and just poke it right on through. And there you go. Really, really easy rig. You can see that eye is completely encased in that plastic, stopping snags, and there isn't too much to get hung up on. It's not a giant ball or an exposed hook that's just going to be raking up leaves or weeds or whatever. Another solid option I really rely on when I'm fishing an unfamiliar area, especially when I'm kayak fishing, is an EWG jig head. This is a bullet head right here. You can see you're maintaining that covered, that protected extra wide gap hook. When you rig it, that plastic's going to sit right over there. You can poke that hook point in it, but you also have that weight right here on the nose. Here's another example of it. This is a Big Bite Baits one right here, an EWG shorty head that I quite enjoy fishing. There's a look at her. However, my brother picked these up for me off Amazon, and I really, really like them, man. They were super inexpensive and they just get the job done.
Now, when it comes to fishing these underweighted rigs like we have tied on right now, I'm very partial to spinning gear. That as well as weightless. When it comes to my nose weighted rigs, like my standard jig heads, my EWG jig heads, I do prefer casting gear. Just a personal preference. You can throw them on either, obviously. However, I tend to fish these a lot slower. Of course, I'm going to throw in some twitches. It just works, man. It triggers those bass's feeding instincts, and it gives them less time to really zero in on what's coming through the water. They're liable to hit that rather than swim up and check that out. At least that's my opinion. I'm not a biologist. This is a very useful rig for fishing weedy areas, grassy areas, areas like this little tree we got, which is very, very shallow. I doubt there's a fish there right now. That's a quick example. Let's get our skunk off our back. I'm going to throw that jig head right now. I can get a lot more distance. I can work that bait the way I want, and we can absolutely get hit.
There we go, fish on. That's what I'm talking about. Stay down, man, stay down. Small, whatever she is. I'm thinking bass. Oh yeah, oh, she's not bad. Wow, there we go, pretty one. Okay, that's something different. That is the third species of bass we've caught in this video. Beautiful little smallie. And this is actually a very special fish because these are pretty uncommon in this area. Not on this river system. You can absolutely catch them. I have a few other spots where they are certainly more common. But here, probably count on two hands how many times I've actually pulled these little spots. Pulled these little smallmouth, excuse me. Well, there we go, my friends, our first fish of the day, and one to certainly be proud of. A beautiful little smallie, man. Again, less common on this stretch of river. Really, I haven't caught too many out of here. I have caught a couple big ones, but they are very far and few, and I've been fishing this area a very long time. Beautiful, beautiful fish, though. Let's get her back in. Let's see what else we can pull. That was fairly quickly, so I'm feeling optimistic this morning. Beautiful.
Thanks for biting. Well, an absolutely beautiful smallie. We just had a boat rip through the area, so we're gonna take this time while the water's settling to make a quick jump. I'm just thinking about heading right up on these rocks. We're gonna hit this area from a different angle, man. I'm seeing so much bait activity right out here, kind of consolidated in our little area, that I wanna keep taking advantage of it, see if we can pull anything else before making a larger jump. I highly recommend getting yourself a really good pair of hiking boots if you're gonna end up walking rock like this. Something with a little ankle protection. Now the river's really the best option right now. We very well might head over to where we were fishing the other day. However, due to the amount of rain we did have, the entire marina type area where we pulled that flathead and that little yellow bass is completely stained up, man. It's pretty rough. These bass obviously see clarity, majority of fish do, so our best option is hitting them on this river, which takes a little more to actually get stained up. And as you can see, we already pulled one, got that nice smallie, and the bait's running pretty heavy. So we're gonna target a few different hot spots on this river, trying to get lucky, really waiting this bite out. And we're gonna make a little jump, possibly back to that area we were fishing the other day, though I'd imagine it's probably packed. I already saw a boat over there just posted up. Must have marked them and was kind of fishing that area out. So I don't know if we'll be so lucky. Okay. That bass is right by our bait right now. Eat me. Got him. Got him. Oh. What are you, man? Okay, she's shrinking a little bit. Strong fight, man. This is a fairly shallow area. Oh my goodness. They're back, my friends. Yeah, this is a white bass and a decent one. Actually, she's off. But when there's one, there's probably a lot more. I hope that showed up on camera, my friends. They're very seasonal in my area, but right around this time they start moving on in, and it is an excellent fish to catch. Excellent fish to eat. We'll see if we can pull another one, man. That's a really good sign. Well, I hope y'all have enjoyed the video so far. If you have, take the time to drop a like, subscribe, comment. It all helps push the channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now, if you're new to the channel, this is the part of the video where we take a look at one of the baits used in the making of this video. We take a deep dive into it and then we give it a solid rating. Well, it should come as no surprise that our bait of the day is the Zoom Swimming Super Fluke Jr. Now, I planned on fishing several baits throughout this video and a couple different locations. It just didn't work out that way. Both of my days got cut short on the water, and my final day was only about an hour long, man. It was like an early morning. I had to get out there and fish. Sometimes it just works out that way. However, we caught some nice fish and I absolutely love this bait, so it's only fitting that it is our bait of the day. Now, the Zoom Swimming Super Fluke Jr. weighs in at roughly 5 grams. These do tend to vary from pour to pour, so I like to throw in that roughly right there. However, when I threw this on some digits, it weighed in right on the nose at that 5. This is a 4-inch long little paddle tail right here, and it's very similar to your Super Fluke, but it has that paddle tail, hence the Swimming Super Fluke Jr. Now, aesthetically and design-wise, this bait is an absolute masterpiece. It's easy for me to brush over because I'm so used to fishing these. I have thrown them a lot. I've caught a lot of fish on this bait. However, it is very innovative. So first off, you got your nice little nose piece right here, okay? That's some good, thick, sturdy plastic, right? Perfect for a jig head. If you do so choose to run an extra wide gap hook, it has these little wings right here, okay? Which really makes for a good place for the bottom of that hook to sit, like right below that. But what it really does when it's rigged that way is it's less plastic for that hook to go through, right? So it just pops up. It gives you, I guess what I'm trying to say is it gives you a lot more hook because you know what? I'm gonna grab a hook. I'm gonna show y'all exactly what I'm talking about. All right, we have our extra wide gap hooks. Thankfully, they were right over there. I actually just got back from a pretty stellar day of fishing, but I got a raging headache, so we are gonna cruise through this one. Let's see, we're gonna use a 2/0.
extra wide gap right here. And like magic, we are all rigged up. So what I'm trying to say is when that fish bites onto your actual hook, the design of this fluke, the design of the Zoom Swim and Super Fluke is they have these two little flaps where your shank will fit perfectly, right? So when their mouth grabs on, it's gonna push that plastic down, and where you might only have this much hook if that's just straight up like thick plastic, the shank will actually sit in these two little flaps, giving you a bit more hook to get that fish pinned. Another little feature about this bait, you do have like 4 little ridges on the back for that hook to sit. However, I'm a hook tucker, so that doesn't really concern me, but it is a nice little slot for your hook to kind of sit right there. And now your bait does run down to this kind of thin, narrower problem. I've never had a problem with losing tails unless I'm getting nipped off by gar or something like that. Bass wise, typically not an issue. Anyhow, that just goes down straight up to your paddle tail. Now when it comes to the on the water performance of this bait, I can't get enough of it. There's a reason I time and time again come back to this bait. If you hear some sighing in the background, that's my boy Mars. Am I annoying you, buddy? Talking while you're trying to sleep, something like that. Anyhow, that is the logo of my channel. If you noticed that in the beginning of my videos, great likeness, man. It's based off of him. Durability wise, it's absolutely stellar. I can't complain about it one bit. It's your standard Zoom plastic. They have some seriously awesome stuff when it comes to durability. You got a nice good chunk for nose. When I rig these with a jig head, eventually you will end up with some slippage. It'll start kind of sliding down your hook, or a little bit of rippage right up here. Tends to happen with almost every bait known to mankind, with an exception for your TPE type plastic, but we're not talking about TPE. Anyhow, a great way to mitigate that is by simply cutting off like a 1/4 inch of that nose and kind of just trimming it down, giving yourself some fresh plastic. I do that very, very often, and it really works out for me. You can get a whole lot of uses out of this bait. Awesome, awesome durability. Now, when it comes to packaging, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Zoom is really like the Reese's peanut butter cup when it comes to branding. You already know it's some quality stuff. They are proven. They don't need anything flashy. Got that simple red label right there. You got that yellow writing. It does pop a little bit, and typically you have a little label right here which will give you the name of the bait. Now, one of my biggest gripes about Zoom plastics is that they don't include the length most of the time. They do have a couple baits. I think the Old Monster, they're 10 or 10.5 inch worm, whatever the length is on that. I think they do include it on the bait, but for the most part, it's not included. Drives me absolutely crazy. Packaging is pretty plain, pretty simple. These do come in a 10 pack, so a good amount of plastics for you. Moving on to our price, we're actually gonna look it up together right now. I didn't look this up in advance. Generally, I do. However, I just got off the water and I'm trying to get this video out by tomorrow. A little later, I like to put them out Saturdays. However, it looks like it's coming out Wednesday, unfortunately, just due to other obligations I had. Anyhow, guys, I'm looking at $6.99 for Dick's Sporting Goods, which is mind-blowing. Highly recommend not buying it there because that price is absurd. Anyhow, we got Academy at $5.49, Walmart $5.28. Okay, Bass Pro Shops $5.79. We'll take $5.79. That's kind of right there in the middle. So at $5.79, you're looking at what, divided by 10, that's gonna be like 58 cents per bait, something like that, which is a really good deal, man. 58 cents for a quality piece of soft plastic like this one. Cannot complain one bit about that. Last but not least, our rating. Okay, so what do you think, MRZ boy? We gotta give it 5 stars, all right? I've been throwing out a couple 5 stars. Then again, it's been really tough out, and I've been throwing baits that absolutely get shredded. So some of my go-to ones, and this is a bait that's caught me a lot of fish. I'd say I've probably caught, if I had to pick one bait I've caught the most bass on, it'd probably be this one right here. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I hope y'all get some good fish on. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.